Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on What If Spider-Man's Clone Lived, issue number 30. Now, as you know, the Clone Saga, the original, was meant to be a kind of, simple story that later got spawned into a 90s version. Now, I know that there are ways you can do a good Clone Saga story, but it just depends on who writes it. So, basically, the story is like what would happen had Peter's clone lived. That did happen in the 90s. So, let's get on with the review. The Watcher introduces a reality in where Spider-Man and his clone are the same, still fighting, with one saying, "Ha ha! Not even I can tell which is the real Spider-Man and which is the clone." And yeah, in our reality, this reduced in Miles regaining his sanity after Gwen calls him a monster and tried to do the right thing, where Peter got rid of the other clone, saying that the world wasn't ready for two Peter Parkers. Well, in this reality, one of the Spider-Men realised their mistake and sucker punches the other one, which is Spider-Man says, "If I'm wrong, I'll apologise later for how I conceived Leeds a lot quicker without him to worry about." And so he saves Ned Leeds, and Gwen pretty much points out that she's not really Gwen Stacy, and says, But how do you know he's not the real, he can't hear me." And so he pretty much puts him in the kind of clone tank in suspended animation, and later pops down to back to his house, and notices everything being under covers and that, and starts wondering where Aunt May is, but later finds out that she's pretty much at Mary Jane's aunt's house, and looks around and sees that she's alright, and after having some cookies, Peter goes to the Daily Bugle and doesn't remember much about his life, and he says, I wonder if Jonah mellowed over the years. "Robinson, where's that current layout?" Well, there's some things never change. And so he sees Robbie there, along with Betty Brant, who offers to basically come with Peter and take him to his apartment. But the problem is, since we don't know if this Peter's the real one, he has to stay around until someone who recognizes him and one of them says, "Peter, wake up! What are you doing out here?" "Oh, I guess I sort of dozed off." "I guess you sort of did." And so Peter has to look around, seeing which of his rooms are there, and eventually find some of his clothes and that. And after finding some of the photos and that of Gwen Stacy, and even learning to his dismay how she died at Norman Osborn's hands, and says, "No, I can't. Why can't I remember?" And so pretty much heads off to where Warren's lab is, and even learns about the cloning process, and learns to his shock, saying, "Oh my lord, I am the clone of Peter Parker." And so he starts to realise that, this isn't who he is, and so does then the cops show up. And Peter manages to quickly save the kind of notes and files, and at the same time bouncing back in and dealing with the cops trying to fire at him. One of them saying, "Oh no, not more webbing. If there's any more cops on the side of the house, I'm gonna start feeling very anti-automatical." And so after looking over the rooftops, thinking what he's gonna do, and suddenly is blasted by the Kingpin, who says, "Hardly, Spider-Man. Don't tell me you don't recognize the voice of your old nemesis." "Oh, Miss Grundy! Sorry, Jug and I broke the specimen jar." And so he starts firing at him, and even Spider-Man realizes the weakness of it, and spins it around like a rodeo horse, and breaks it. And meanwhile, Peter goes to the Empire State University, despite the fact that he hasn't got any real education, and learns to his shock that Flash Thompson is pretty much his friend, and starts to realize, that college isn't as bad as he thought. So Peter learns as well that saying, Lord, what a day. College was rough enough. But when there's years of studying, I don't have a chance of passing the semester. And so he realizes that, he needs to get back Peter Parker, and even has to deal with the Kingpin, who has his goons to back him up, and even plans to meet him at Coney Island just for a challenge. So after realizing the problems that he can't fight, he can't deal with the villains, he pretty much has to go to the one person he knows, the real Peter Parker. And afterwards frees him, and they both come up with an idea that they can't have two Spider-Man, so the clone dresses up as Peter Parker, and the actual Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So they head off where he's going to take pictures, and so Kingpin has his men capture Peter Parker, while Spider-Man pretty much looks around for Kingpin, who blasts him around in a Ferris wheel. And when he's about to, try and blast him mid-air, and manages to tip him out, and successfully defeat him, he has his two henchmen point a gun at Peter Parker, where he's like, okay, you win, take a walk. I thought you'd see it my way. Hey, what about Peter? Don't move, and he won't be hurt. And so Peter's clone basically beats up the two crooks. Kingpin tries to make a break for it without finding it a bit suspicious, and just then manages to get taken down. So pretty much in this reality, they both decide to be Spider-Man on certain days and that. And he's like, yes, good. Bro, I'll get the bed and you get the couch. I get Mary Jane and you get Doc Ock. Now, is that any way to treat your kid brother? And yeah, the story is actually interesting. I could have seen this as a potential story. Again, I think the thing is, there are ways you can write a good Clone Saga story. It's important to look through the 90s story and come up with your own ideas. So the story deserves a thumbs up. Still good and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.